Billionaire discovers twin girls, 8, alone with suitcases in the park. Their incredible journey. On a bright, sun-soaked Sunday afternoon in suburban Ohio, laughter bounced off the trees, resonating with the simple joys of family picnics and children playing. Jack Thompson, a self-made billionaire, stood beside a weathered picnic table, holding a paintbrush in one hand and a can of primer in the other. He could hardly believe how far he had come from his childhood in a small, cramped apartment, every brushstroke reminding him of hard work and the American dream. Yet, despite his wealth and achievements, Jack felt a strange emptiness, a disconnection from the community he desperately wanted to uplift. As he made his way through the park, everything seemed alive. The aromas of grilled hot dogs filled the air. Smiles and chatter surrounded him, but his gaze quickly fell upon a pair of small figures sitting quietly beside two battered suitcases. Twin girls with tousled hair, faces painted with worry and resolve. Mia and Emma. Their haunting eyes shone with a sadness that struck Jack like a punch to the gut. The park, once alive with mirth, now seemed to exude an overwhelming heaviness. "Are you okay?" he asked gently, crouching down to their level. A hesitant silence answered, but the twins' expressions spoke volumes. They had just run away from a bizarre foster situation, a life filled with instability and danger. Jack could sense the weight of their heart's fear mixed with an unyielding determination to find a safe home. It took him back to his own childhood dreams lost amid adulthood's chaos. His heart raced. "What do you need? How can I help?" Jack embarked on what felt like a mission to rescue the girls from the labyrinth of the foster care system. He faced bureaucratic red tape that ensnared him like a tangled web. Judgments from weary social workers echoed in his mind, each word a splash of cold water against his idealism. They treated the twins as burdens, not children. Community whispers pierced his resolve. Can a rich man understand their plight? Then came the worst news. Rumors spread that the twins might be placed in separate homes. Their terrified faces haunted him. Jack couldn't let this happen, not to these brave girls who had already battled so much. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Fueled by desperation, Jack reached out, leaning on his connections to navigate the daunting task of adoption. Slowly, he gathered a chorus of supporters who shared their own stories, turning the outreach into a community movement. Neighbors found their voices and families united, shedding light on the profound issues of their local foster care system. Conversations bloomed, hearts softened, yet betrayal struck. A close friend sowed doubt, questioning Jack's intentions. At a town hall meeting buzzing with tension, he stood before concerned neighbors, vulnerability nudging at his fortitude. As Jack poured out the twins' story, passion laced his words. Family, love, connection. Tears fell, hearts opened, but still, skepticism lingered. As news of the lengthy adoption process reached him, the twins grew fidgety, often stealing worried glances at him. Sitting beneath the same trees where they had first crossed paths, Jack held Mia and Emma's hands tightly, feeling their tiny fingers intertwined with hope and fear. What truly defines a family? He felt the weight of uncertainty crash over him. Would the fight for a lasting home be enough to overcome the odds? The air thickened with unspoken promise, as the journey to redefine home began, leaving everyone yearning for answers. Jack stared out at the park, the laughter and joy of the day dating against the backdrop of the twins' uncertain future. The sun dipped low, casting golden hues, but it felt more like twilight in his heart. Mia and Emma watched the world around them with cautious eyes, each glance darting to Jack, their lifeline in this storm of chaos. "What if they separate us?" Mia whispered, her voice trembling like a fragile bird. Emma squeezed her sister's hand tighter, her little body tensing. Jack's heart sank at the fear flickering across their small faces. That won't happen, he assured them, his voice steady, even as doubt clawed at his insides. I promise to do everything I can. You deserve a family, a real one. Days turned into a blur of meetings, phone calls, and paperwork. Jack threw himself into the fight, enlisting the help of local activists and volunteers, forming a united front under the banner of Save the Twins. The community stepped up in ways he couldn't have expected. People began posting flyers, sharing social media posts using the hashtag #BringThemHome. With every new supporter, Jack felt a surge of hope, even as the shadows of skepticism lingered. But the foster care system seemed relentless. He faced barrage after barrage of questions. What was his motive? Did he really care? Did he even know what these girls were going through? Each inquiry felt like a blow, punctuating his resolve. He wasn't just a wealthy man playing savior, he was a man desperate to create a family. But each harsh word from the system gnawed at him, amplifying the girls' fears. One evening, after a long day of meetings, Jack sat on his porch, head in his hands. A soft knock broke him out of his spiral. It was Mia, her small silhouette framed by the porch light. "Can we sit?" Jack nodded, parting the seat beside him. As they settled, Emma joined them, her small figure snuggling tightly next to Mia. "Are you okay?" Emma asked, her eyes glistening as they searched his. "I'm doing my best. You girls are so strong," he replied, brushing a hand through his hair. "But what if we don't get to stay together?" Mia asked, her courage faltering. Jack inhaled deeply. "The fight is still on, and I'm not giving up. You both are worth every effort." They sat in silence for a moment, the air thick with unspoken fears and hopes. Then Mia whispered, "Sometimes I wish we had a real family right now." Her words jabbed Jack in the heart, magnifying the truth of their situation. He leaned closer, urgency in his voice. "You are my family. We're gonna find a way. Together." As night embraced the park, surrounded by the shadows of tall trees, Jack laid 2 fingers on each of their small cheeks, forcing them to look into his eyes. "I won't let anything come between us." Days turned into restless nights. Jack carried their worry like a weight, an anchor pulling him under. But when the call came, the breath left his lungs. Mia and Emma were scheduled for a hearing, an opportunity to speak on their own behalf. Would they be brave enough? Or would the uncertainty silence their voices? As he watched them prepare, their small faces lit with a newfound determination, Jack felt the intensity of the moment. In that instant, he realized the truth. He had been searching for. The love they needed was already blossoming within their hearts. And as they stepped forward, one hand gripping each other's and the other clutching Jack's, a single phrase came to his mind. The moment of truth would soon arrive. The courtroom felt cold, like a building still waking up from the grasp of winter. Jack took a deep breath as he watched the twins stand before the judge, their small frames highlighted under the bright overhead lights. Mia and Emma held hands tightly, their knuckles white against the soft, pastel colors of their dresses. A crowd gathered at the back of the room, caseworkers, advocates, curious onlookers, but Jack's focus was solely on the twins. Their eyes searched the room and found him. That gave him strength. The judge, an older woman with kind eyes and a stern expression, cleared her throat. "Today, we are here to hear from the children. Mia and Emma, please come forward." The twins shuffled as one, nervous but determined. Mia whispered something to Emma, who nodded and took a deep breath. "We can do this," Jack mouthed silently to them, giving a reassuring smile. They stepped up to the witness stand, and the world around them faded into a dull roar. "Did you want to say something to the court?" the judge asked, her tone gentle. "Yes, Your Honor." Mia's voice quivered but didn't break. "We want to stay together. We're scared that, if we get separated, we won't see each other again." As she spoke, Jack noticed the way Emma's eyes glistened. It was as if the weight of the moment hung on every word. The judge's expression softened, and Jack felt a wave of emotion intense enough to drown out the room's noise. "We thought we might go to different families," Emma blurted, her voice firm yet trembling. "And we don't want that. Jackie cares about us, and we care about each other. We're real family. We just want to be together. Jack's heart swelled, the courage radiating from the twin sisters giving him hope. Their voices quaked, filled with such sincerity it could pierce the toughest defenses of any heart. The tension in the room shifted. Even the gallery grew still, hanging on every word. I promise to take care of them, Your Honor. They deserve love and security, and I am committed to giving that to them, Jack interjected, stepping into the light of their shared moment. The judge shifted her gaze, weighing his sincerity alongside the twins' vulnerability. Mr. Carlyle, she said, nodding. Tell me, why is this of such importance to you? He swallowed hard, pulled into the gravity of her question. Because I've seen what they can be, a joy, a warmth, something so real. They've already changed my life in ways I never anticipated. Jack paused, his voice trembling with raw honesty. We're not just fighting for a home, we're fighting for a family. Mia squeezed Emma's hand tighter, her small body trembling with emotion. Jack caught Emma's gaze, a silent communication flowing between them. They were not merely fighting for themselves but for a bond that was precious and irreplaceable. And what is a family to you? The judge pressed, her eyes sparkling with empathy. A family is support, it's something that lifts you when you're down. It's knowing there's love waiting for you. These girls deserve to know they are safe and that they belong. Jack paused, feeling the heat rise in his chest. I can give that to them. After a long silence, the judge leaned back slightly, her fingers steepled. Very well, we'll consider this testimony. The moment stretched out, and Jack held his breath, fear coiling tightly in his gut. He wanted to reach out, to tell Mia and Emma that everything would be all right. But they stood tall, resilient, waiting for their futures to be decided. As they stepped down, the small voices beside him whispered, Did we do okay? Jack chuckled softly, pride burning in his gut. You did better than okay. You were incredible. Just then, the judge called for a recess, and as the chatter rose, Jack felt the familiar twinge of uncertainty clawing at him again. The moment of truth was drawing near, and he couldn't shake the creeping dread of the unknown. They needed a miracle, and fast. Would they get what they so desperately needed? And as he looked at Mia and Emma, their faces lit with a mix of hope and apprehension, he couldn't help but feel that. Everything depended on what happened next. The tension in the courtroom felt palpable as Jack sat back down, squeezing the twins' hands. The noise of the recess swirled around them, but all he focused on was their fragile fingers wrapped tight around his. Time seemed suspended, as if everyone was waiting for something monumental to happen. Mia leaned closer to him, her brows knit together. What do we do now? Jack looked into her big, innocent eyes. We wait and hope, he said softly. That's all we can do right now. Trust that they see how special you both are. Emma's gaze darted to the door, her little shoulders tense. What if they don't want us? Her voice was barely a whisper. Jack felt a tightness in his throat. That's not true. You both have something so strong, something that can't be broken. The love that you share, it's powerful. I know it. The gallery was slowly emptying. Some advocates offered supportive smiles, while others exchanged sympathetic looks. Jack noticed a woman in a blue blazer approach. She was their caseworker, Sarah. He had met her only once, but her warm demeanor made him feel slightly more at ease. Mr. Carlyle, she said, lowering her voice enough to only be heard by them. Can I speak with you for a moment? Jack nodded, gesturing to Mia and Emma to stay put. He stood and followed Sarah to a quieter corner of the room. I just wanted to say, she began, her expression earnest. The twins' testimony really struck a chord with everyone. Please know their voices matter. This could work out in your favor. His heart raced. So there's hope? They won't be separated? Sarah sighed, looking down for a moment before meeting his gaze again. It's complicated, Jack. The system, it's often unpredictable. But their bond is undeniable. Families like yours are rare. Please, I'll do everything it takes to prove to them that they belong with me. They deserve a real family, he pleaded. She nodded slowly. I believe you. I really do, but there are a lot of decisions still to be made. Just trust the process. As Jack returned to Mia and Emma, determination thrummed through him. Did you hear that? You both were amazing and there's still hope. We can't lose sight of that. Emma pushed her air of worry aside for a moment. We need to stay brave, right? Like you said. Exactly, Jack said, grinning. Bravery is our superpower. The recess dragged on, nerves coiling in Jack's stomach like a storm. He glanced at the two sisters, who were now whispering and giggling at a shared joke. That lightness brought warmth to his heart, and he realized how desperately he wanted to preserve that spark in their eyes. The chatter in the gallery faded as the judge stepped back into the courtroom. A hush fell over the crowd, and an electric tension rose in the air. Jack's heart pounded. This was it. Please rise, the judge commanded, her voice steady. I believe we can now reach a decision on this case. Jack's breath hitched in his chest. He exchanged a quick glance with Mia and Emma, reminding himself of the need for hope, and urged a silent prayer. Yet doubt lurked in the corners of his mind, creeping like shadows across the walls of his heart. The judge looked over her glasses, her expression unreadable. I have carefully considered the testimonies presented today and the best interests of these children. Jack's skin prickled with anticipation. Would he be heard? Would they have the chance to embrace their new life together? And then, she continued, we will now allow you to present additional evidence if you wish outside the courtroom. The sun hung high and bright, unaware of the turmoil inside. Jack felt his world teetering on the edge. Everything was about to change. Could he find the words to secure their future? Jack took a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The air felt thick, filled with uncertainty as he gathered his thoughts. This was no ordinary plea. It was a chance to show the court why Mia and Emma belonged with him. Your Honor, Jack began, his voice steady but laced with emotion. He could feel the twins' eyes on him, their faith shining brightly. I stand here today not just as a man seeking to adopt two incredible girls, but as someone who has witnessed the bond they share. Their laughter, their tears, and their dreams. These aren't just stories. They are the foundations of who they are. He stepped forward, glancing briefly at Sarah and the judge, hoping to draw them in with his sincerity. Mia and Emma have been through more than any children should have to face. They need a home, one filled with love, support, and safety. Jack's voice cracked slightly. I want to be that home. Silence hung in the courtroom. Every gaze was fixed on him. He could see Mia's small hand gripping Emma's tightly, their little hearts racing alongside his. He continued, each word flowing from his heart. I have room for them in my life, in my heart. I promise to nurture their dreams and to protect them fiercely. They won't just have a roof over their heads. They will have a family. The judge leaned forward, her eyes narrowing slightly as she absorbed his words. Jack took it as a sign to power on. I traveled from a place of privilege, caught in a life that was focused on success and accolades. But meeting these girls has changed everything for me. I've realized that true happiness isn't measured in wealth but in connection and love. That's what Mia and Emma have shown me. Each pause felt like an eternity, yet he could feel their hearts beating with hope, urging him on. Please, Your Honor, don't separate them. Their bond is more than familial. It is sacred. They complete each other. They are full of life, laughter, and potential, and together, they can thrive. As he spoke, emotion swelled within him, threatening to spill over. Jack glanced at the twins again and saw the glimmer of trust in their eyes. He felt his resolve solidify. He would not falter now. This was their moment, their chance. The love we share is something that can never be severed. I need them just as much as they need me. Jack finished, his voice unwavering. I will be the father they deserve, one who listens and champions them to be exactly who they are. The judge sat back, her expression unreadable. Jack's chest tightened, every second stretching into infinity as he awaited her response. He could see the gallery shifting, whispers rippling through the crowd. Their hopes and fears were palpable, but the only thing that mattered right now was Mia and Emma. After what felt like an eternity, the judge spoke. Thank you, Mr. Carlyle. Your testimony is noted. However, we must also consider recommendations from various parties involved. Jack's heart sank momentarily. The uncertainty was overwhelming. But before he could gather his thoughts, Sarah stood up, her tone firm and authoritative. "Your Honor, if I may?" Jack watched as she approached the stand, his stomach knotting tighter. He grasped the twins' hands, feeling their warmth with desperate hope. What is she going to say? He thought, sinking further into the unknown. Given the emotional testimony presented here, Sarah continued, "I believe both children would thrive under Jack's care, growing in an environment full of love and stability." The eyes of the courtroom shifted, curiosity and intrigue piqued by her words. Jack's pulse raced. Was this the turning point they needed? And with that, I recommend a Guardian-S review to expedite the process. Jack felt a surge of hope. Could it be true? Was this the opening they had sought? As the murmurings of the courtroom intensified, he turned to Mia and Emma, their faces lighting with cautious optimism. But just then, the judge's expression shifted to something more severe. "We will require further evaluations and a follow-up meeting next week. The court is adjourned for." Today a heavy weight settled in Jack's chest as the gavel banged down, the finality ringing in his ears. What did that mean for them? What if it didn't go their way? As people began to disperse, Jack gathered the twins close. "Hey, we still have a shot. We just have to keep our spirits up," he encouraged, but doubt wormed its way into his heart. That night, as Jack tossed and turned, he couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. What would he need to do to win? And when he opened his eyes, he was determined. He would fight for them, whatever it took. What would he discover about himself in the process? Jack woke up with the dawn. The soft rays of light filtered through his bedroom window, casting a warm glow that should have felt comforting. Instead, the light only highlighted the heaviness in his heart. Today was going to be crucial. The follow-up meeting loomed like a dark cloud, and Jack could see no way to avoid it. He rolled out of bed, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Glancing at the clock, he sighed. Time was pushing forward, and he needed to be ready. He had spent hours last night going over every detail of what he could say to show that he was the right choice for Mia and Emma. After a quick shower and a cup of strong coffee, he grabbed a notebook and sat down at the kitchen table. He jotted down notes, words that felt powerful. Love, family, commitment. Each word struck a chord in him. He wanted to pour every ounce of hope he had into this, but he knew it had to be more than just words. He had to back them up with action. Mia and Emma were still sleeping, their tiny forms curled up under blankets on the couch. He glanced at them, a smile creeping onto his face. They looked so peaceful, innocent in their dreams. It amazed him how quickly they had woven themselves into the very fabric of his life. He would do anything to keep them safe and happy. As he packed a small bag for their outing later that day, he thought about how he could get them more involved in the process. What if he asked them what they wanted out of this? They were family, after all. Their voices mattered now more than ever. Finally, he decided. He would take them to the park where he had first met them. It seemed fitting to revisit the place that had sparked this incredible journey. Maybe the comfort of that familiar ground would ease their worries. After all, if things started to feel overwhelming, they could always lean on each other. "Hey, you two, rise and shine," he called gently after hearing a small groan from Emma. Slowly, they stirred, appearing dazed yet enchanted by the new day. "What time is it?" Mia mumbled, her eyes barely open. "It's adventure time," Jack replied, grinning. "We're going back to the park. You guys ready to take on the day?" Their instant smiles, bright and hopeful, filled him with warmth. A little while later, they were walking hand in hand toward the park, excitement bubbling between them. The sun beat down pleasantly, and the sounds of other families enjoying their morning echoed around them. Jack looked over at the girls beside him, their laughter mingling with the chorus of life around them. As soon as they arrived, Jack spread out a blanket on the grass. This was where we first met." He looked each of them in the eye. "What do you remember about that day?" Mia's eyes sparkled. "You were big and scary at first," she giggled. Jack feigned offense, clutching his chest. "Scary? Me?" Emma burst into laughter, and it was infectious. "You were. But then you were nice. You brought us ice cream. Jack nodded enthusiastically. That's right. And I want to keep bringing you happiness. No matter what. They spent the morning reliving their first day together, sharing stories, and any fears they might have about what lay ahead. As the sun began to dip, casting long shadows, Jack knew they couldn't avoid the realities of the court situation. But he had a plan. A spark of determination ignited within him. They could face whatever was to come together. That evening, as they prepared a simple dinner, Jack shared his idea. I think we should write letters. Real letters that tell the judge why we should be a family. Mia's eyes went wide, and Emma nodded vigorously. They were all in. As the girls grabbed paper and crayons, Jack felt a renewed sense of purpose. Maybe this was how they could take control of the situation. It was their journey, and they had a voice in it. Jack had no idea how the judge would respond, but he knew one thing for sure. He would stand beside Mia and Emma, come what may. Would their letters hold the key to their future? Would they finally find a way home together? As dusk settled in, the kitchen was alive with the sounds of paper rustling and crayons scratching against the surface. Mia and Emma were completely focused, their little brows furrowed in concentration. The letters they were writing were essentials in their mission, carrying their hopes and dreams on simple sheets of paper. Jack watched them, his heart swelling with pride and admiration. They were little warriors, battling for their future with words. Can I help you with yours? Jack asked Emma, who was now surrounded by a rainbow of drawings and half-finished sentences. She looked up, her big eyes shimmering with a mix of uncertainty and excitement. Really? She said, her voice soft and curious. Of course. Let us make sure it says everything you want it to. Jack plopped down next to her and together, they brainstormed ideas. Emma spoke, her words tumbling out like delicate petals. I want the judge to know that you're the best because you make us laugh and you cook flapjacks, but not too burnt. Jack laughed. I'll have to perfect my flapjack recipe if we get to be a family. Right? They shared a moment of warmth, sealed with laughter. Meanwhile, Mia had written her letter, filled with colorful drawings and big block letters shouting, "Family." She looked up at Jack, a shy smile creeping on her face. Do you think they'll like it? Jack leaned closer, reading her words. They'll love it, Mia. This letter is so heartfelt. He tousled her hair. It shows exactly why we belong together. The kitchen became their sanctuary. With each stroke of crayon, they fought against the threats that loomed over their newfound family. And every word written felt like a step closer to sealing their bond. They poured their fears into ink, not just hopes for the court, but hopes for a life together. As dinner simmered on the stove, the aroma filled their little home, wrapping around them like a comforting hug. Jack took a moment to breathe it all in, thinking how his life had shifted since meeting the girls. He hadn't known warmth like this, a sense of belonging that felt at times almost fragile. When dinner was ready, they gathered around the table, laughter and chatter bouncing off the walls. They recounted moments from the park, their thoughts still buzzing from the day's adventures. Jack felt grateful for these slices of life together. He knew that these ordinary moments were the core of something extraordinary. After dinner, they huddled on the couch, the letters stacked beside them. Tomorrow is the big day, Jack said, his tone more serious now. We'll hand these letters to the lawyer, and he'll make sure the judge reads them. Mia wrapped her arms around his neck, a gesture that felt both protective and loving. Emma nestled into Jack's side, resting her head against his arm. What if the judge doesn't like them? Emma asked, her voice a mere whisper. Jack felt a tightness in his chest. We can't control what the judge will think. What we can control is how we express ourselves. And you both did an amazing job. The girls exchanged glances, the weight of uncertainty lifting slightly. Jack could see their resolve forming. They would face whatever came next as a team. It was clear to him that as long as they had each other and held onto their hope, they could overcome any obstacle. But just then, a sudden knock echoed from the front door, shattering the moment. Jack exchanged wary looks with the girls, the cheerfulness of the evening dimming. Who could that be? He wondered aloud, rising apprehensively from the couch. As he opened the door, his breath caught. There stood a figure from his past, one he never expected to see again. The very last person he wanted involved in this journey. "Jack," the figure said, a smirk spreading across their face. "We need to talk." Jack's heart raced, the world narrowing down to that familiar face. He hadn't seen Alex in years, not since everything had gone south between them. Anger flared within him, mingling with disbelief. "What are you doing here?" Jack managed, his voice low. Alex leaned against the doorframe, confidence radiating from him. "I heard you were back in town. Thought it was time we caught up." "Caught up? After everything?" Jack retorted, memories of betrayal flooding back. The last thing he needed was the specter of his past haunting him now, when everything was finally beginning to feel right. Emma peered around Jack's leg, her curiosity gleaming with innocence. "Who is he? Daddy?" Jack knelt down, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Just someone I used to know. Can I say hi?" Emma asked, her youthful candor pressing on him. "No," Jack answered firmly, returning his gaze to Alex. "You need to leave." "Let us not be hasty," Alex interjected, pushing past Jack and stepping into the house, as if he had every right to be there. "I didn't come here to cause trouble. I just want to talk about the future." "The future?" Jack laughed bitterly. "The only future I want is with my daughters." Alex raised an eyebrow, his lips curving smugly. "You think you can give them a real future? Who do you think you are? You have no idea what it takes." Anger fired through Jack, but he forced himself to stay calm for Emma and Mia's sake. "They don't need someone like you in their lives," he said, his voice low. "Maybe not now," Alex replied, his voice smooth and unsettling. "But I can help. You have no idea what's coming." Mia, sensing the tension, squeezed her crayons tighter, her tiny frame rigid. "Daddy, I don't like him," she said, her eyes wide with fear. Jack turned to the girls, kneeling to their level. "You're safe, I promise. No one's going to hurt you. Not while I'm here. I can give you things you can't imagine: money, connections," Alex continued, barely acknowledging Mia's distress. "The kind that will make your life and theirs much easier." Jack inhaled deeply, feeling the anger within him morph into something more potent. "Money? What do you think that will buy? Love? Family?" He straightened up, shifting his posture to face Alex directly. "They have all the love they'll ever need right here. I will not let you poison their lives." Alex's smile faltered, but determination shone in his eyes. "Then you might be in over your head, Jack. This court case won't be a walk in the park. The odds aren't in your favor." Jack clenched his fists, aware of the cold sweat at his temples. "They don't need you. I'm all they need." But as he spoke, doubt trickled in, clouding the edges of his conviction. "Are you sure about that?" Alex shot back. "When their future's at stake, the game changes." Just then, a sudden knock echoed from the kitchen, snapping everyone's attention. The moment felt steeped in tension, reality shifting like tectonic plates. Jack's mind raced. Was it the lawyer? Was it someone else from his past? "Let us talk outside," Jack insisted, determined to shield the girls from whatever storm was brewing. He stepped outside, the chill of the night air biting into his resolve. The weight of uncertainty pressed heavy on his chest. With the shadows of his past creeping closer, how could he protect his family when the battle was only just beginning? As they stood by the door, Jack felt a storm rushing in, one that he hadn't anticipated. There was no denying it now. The clock was ticking, and their fragile world was about to shift once again. What would Alex reveal that could threaten their fragile hopes? The night air was thick with tension as Jack paced on the porch, the wind whispering doubts in his ear. He glanced back at Alex, whose dismissive attitude made his stomach turn. "What do you want, Alex?" Jack grumbled, fists flexed at his sides. The evenings should be peaceful, filled with laughter from his daughters, not confrontations with ghosts of the past. "I want you to listen. You're going into this blind," Alex said, his calm demeanor unsettling. "I know things that can change everything." Jack ran a hand through his hair, frustration bubbling over. What do you mean by that? Just spit it out. He locked eyes with Alex, willing himself to remain strong, but uncertainty gnawed at him. Do you really think your little life here can withstand what's coming? Alex leaned slightly closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial pitch. The trial, it isn't just about custody anymore. There's more at stake than you realize. I have resources. I can help. Jack shook his head vehemently. Help? By turning my life upside down? Why would I ever trust you? In a world where trust is currency, you can't afford to be naive, Jack. Alex's smile reappeared, a smirk that sent shivers down Jack's spine. I can give you intel, get you the best lawyers, but you have to be willing to step into a world you've ignored. A flash of anger coursed through Jack. I've chosen this life. I fought for it. The girls are all that matter to me. But are they really safe? Alex leaned back, a glimmer of satisfaction in his eyes. You think you can protect them from someone like me? The shadows of the past have their own way of coming back. Jack's heart sank as the reality of Alex's threat sunk in. Could he really keep them safe? Enough! Jack shouted, his voice breaking through the cold night. I won't let you manipulate me. This isn't some game. He took a breath, steadying himself. I've come too far to let anyone like you drag me back. The confidence in Alex's eyes faded. You think you've got it all figured out. But the key players are moving, including you. That judge doesn't know you like I do. You're just a father in a messy situation, and I hold the cards. The air hung heavy as Jack felt the walls close in around him. What do you mean? What do you know? Let us just say, I have people watching, observing everything. Things you thought were long behind you may just come into play. Alex's eyes gleamed, savoring the impact of his words. Suddenly, the door behind Jack opened, and Emma, her face still slightly smudged with crayon remnants, peeked out. Daddy, are you okay? Her small voice broke through the tension like sunshine on a cloudy day. Jack turned, kneeling quickly to her level, forcing a smile. Of course, sweetheart. I'm just talking with a friend. Can I come out? She asked, her eyes darting to Alex, who merely leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching with mild amusement. No, honey. Stay inside for now, Jack said, trying to hide the strain in his voice. As she stepped back, the moment intensified, and Jack felt the pressure of time closing in. He turned back to Alex, fighting the sense of impending doom. You're bluffing. You don't scare me. Scared? No. But you should be wary. The fact remains, it doesn't matter what you want. The court will decide your future and theirs. Alex grinned, almost reminiscent, before stepping back into the shadows. Take care, Jack. As the echoes of Alex's departing footsteps faded into the distance, dread settled over Jack. The trial loomed like an inevitable storm, and suddenly, he didn't feel ready for the fight ahead. He glanced towards the door, feeling the weight of his daughter's futures resting heavily on his battered shoulders. What connections did Alex really have? What was lurking just out of sight? Sensing the air vibrating with uncertainty, Jack knew the struggle had just begun. As his heart raced, he couldn't shake the thought that something far worse than he had imagined was on its way. And as he stood there, he realized he had to make a choice before it was too late. Could he face whatever storm was brewing without losing everything he held dear? The courtroom buzzed with a tense energy, the faint sound of whispered conversations hanging in the air as Jack faced the judge, the final decision looming like a thunderstorm ready to break. He felt small in that vast room, but his heart was fierce and alive, fueled by hope for his girls. Mia and Emma deserve stability. They deserve love, he declared, the words feeling both a plea and a promise. Mia and Emma sat attentively beside him, eyes wide, their innocence clashing with the weight of the matter at hand. The judge studied the room, her gaze landing on Mia and Emma's frightened faces. This court has heard your testimonies, and I believe it's in our best interest to prioritize their well-being. She finally spoke, holding everyone in suspense, a heavy moment hanging in the air. Jack's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through him. The room felt charged, all eyes fixed on the judge, every breath held in anticipation. And after careful consideration, the judge continued, "I believe the bond between these children and Mr. Carlyle is more than beneficial. It is essential. I hereby grant custody to Jack Carlyle, with conditions for further evaluations as needed." Time seemed to freeze, the words settling over Jack like a warm embrace. He was dimly aware of the muted gasps around him, the whispers shifting to gasps of disbelief and awe. He turned to Mia and Emma, who were blinking back tears of joy, disbelief washing over their little faces. "Did we really?" Mia whispered, her voice trembling. Jack nodded vigorously, wrapping his arms around both girls, pulling them tightly to him. "Yes, we did it." Tears streamed down his cheeks, their laughter spilling into the air like sunlight breaking through clouds. Suddenly, a chorus of cheers erupted from the back of the room, their community of supporters filling the glum courtroom with joyous exclamations. Neighbors hugged each other, advocates exchanged smiles, and even the social workers couldn't help but beam with relief. "Can we go home now?" Emma asked, wiping her eyes, astonished at the joy bursting through. "Yes, home with me from now on, it's our home." Jack's voice quivered with emotion as he held them closer, the world beyond receding. As they made their way out, Jack felt every ounce of worry lift, replaced by a holy promise. Together, they stepped into the sunshine, where the warmth kissed their faces and laughter bubbled freely. Mia and Emma twirled in the open air, the shadows of their former fears dissolving into memories. The park stretched before them, a place that had birthed this miraculous bond, this whimsical family. They drove home, the radio playing a mix of nostalgic tunes, a sound of jubilation pulsating through their small car. Jack glanced at the girls. Their radiant smiles lit up the space around them. He couldn't help but chuckle at Mia's exaggerated mock dancing in the backseat. "I can't wait to celebrate," she squealed. "Let us make pancakes for dinner," Emma added with fervor, her eyes sparkling. "Yes," Jack echoed, laughter mixing with a genuine sense of hope. "Fabulous flapjacks for our fabulous family." It felt surreal, a dream come to fruition. As they entered their home, Jack marveled at the transition from uncertainty to this unwavering bond. They rushed into the kitchen, flour flying as they mixed batter, joy erupting with every splash. Later, as they sat around the table, feasting on their creation, Jack looked across at Mia and Emma, their playful faces aglow with happiness. He realized their journey had been hard, filled with dark moments, but love had illuminated their path, breaking through barriers. They had become a family brimming with laughter, messy kitchens, and shared struggles. "Thank you for believing in me," he said softly, emotion spilling over. "I promise to always be here for you both." Mia reached for his hand. "And we'll never let you go," she declared. Jack smiled, warmth wrapping around his heart. They shared more laughter, filling their home with memories, the scars of the past fading, replaced by new beginnings filled with love. "Forever and always," Emma echoed, sealing their pact with a joyous gleam in her eye. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, coloring their world in oranges and pinks, Jack felt a sense of peace. They had fought hard together, and they would continue to do so, united and unbreakable. In that moment, Jack understood. They had the power to shape their story, and it was only the beginning of their incredible journey together. And now, as the night settled around them, there was only one thing left to do: unreservedly embrace their future, whatever it held. If you felt this transformation, this inspiring journey of love and resilience, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Comment below your thoughts about this heartfelt ending and how it touched you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can create a community that values love, hope, and family.